welcome to episode 2 of Rewire Your Brain, Rewrite Your Future. I'm Coach John. My company is Freedom Nutrition Coaching, and my goal is to help you not only to lose weight, but to really fall in love with your life again and never have to diet again. This is my daily mini podcast where, I should say daily-ish, mini podcast where I break down myths and stories that are holding you back from the lifelong results that you want to achieve. My goal here is also to show you how to put your results on autopilot with what I share. My story is probably different than your average, Instagram fitness influencer. I've been through trauma. I've been over 330 pounds. I've lost more than 100 pounds and kept it off. And so I'm gonna share from a totally different perspective than the $200 billion diet industry that I spent a lot of money on trying to get results that never got me to where I wanted to go. So without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. And that is the problem with willpower, motivation, and discipline. These make great motivational memes, go big or go home. But if you ask people why it is that they can't reach their weight loss goals, you'll hear something like, I don't have enough willpower, or I don't have the motivation to keep going, or maybe something like, I guess I need more discipline. The real problem here is, if you make willpower or motivation a requirement for your success, if your plan for achieving a transformation is built on this, you're setting yourself up for basically a 100% chance of failure because, look, these are finite and limited resources. They're not available on demand because, frankly, if they were, we'd all be crushing our goals relentlessly, a la Gary Vee, But the truth is, most people prefer to sit on the couch, to watch Netflix and order from Skip the Dishes or Uber Eats. It's basically what our brain pushes us to do, right? So when we start thinking about transforming our health, our brain pulls a neat little trick on us. So we start, let's say we imagine we're gonna tackle this transformation, and we've maybe even figured out how we think we're gonna do it, and we start thinking and visualizing about the results that we'd like to achieve. I think the key here is that we start thinking about how we will feel when we achieve this transformation. So if you could even just maybe close your eyes for a minute, you close your eyes and visualize future you. You've achieved this weight loss goal, you've achieved this transformation that you want to get to. You're at a healthy weight, you're maintaining it. How are you going to feel? What's your energy going to look like? What's your confidence going to look like? What does your day-to-day life look like? It's probably something really amazing. And our brain doesn't really distinguish. So if you took a moment to do that, I wonder if you started to feel something, because our brain doesn't really distinguish between our subconscious mind and our physical reality. When we start imagining how we will feel, our brain starts to reward us with what's called dopamine. That's our feel-good neurotransmitter. Now, this is actually a really crucial step to get us moving forward on any kind of weight loss transformation because, truthfully, it's going to be an uncomfortable journey. So we actually need this push to get us past our primal fear of change and discomfort. And that's exactly what this surge in dopamine does. It pushes us past our fear of change. Now, the problem here is it was only ever intended to last for a very short period of time, maybe a couple of weeks at most. But it's so easy to get fooled into thinking that we're going to feel amazing every step of the way. And then what happens is we end up overestimating what we think we can accomplish in a very short window of time. So we dive headfirst into this transformation. Maybe we do things like, hey, I cut out carbs, I'm restricting my food intake, eating salads for lunch, intermittent fasting, heading to the gym 5 or 6 days a week, start drinking more water, no gluten, no dairy, no eggs, whatever, feeling on top of the world. But when we try to implement these huge, sweeping changes in our life all at once, maybe we can keep doing this for a few days, maybe even a couple of weeks. There's always going to be a looming crash when we start out like this because it's almost like our brain set a trap for us. Our brain is not going to continue to supply us with high levels of dopamine, right? It simply can't keep us high, literally high, all the time. If it did, we would become desensitized to dopamine and ordinary life would just become crushingly depressing. So when, it almost feels like the brain pulls the rug out from under us. It turns off the dopamine tap. It feels like we've lost all motivation. And so all of a sudden, we're feeling overwhelmed with the changes that we've been trying to implement, and maybe it feels like we're getting in over our head, so we start missing things, maybe missing a workout, ordering McDonald's on Skip the Dishes, And that's kind of the beginning of these grand plans unraveling, these really ambitious transformations unraveling. And if we're not careful, it can really turn into quite the downward spiral. I used to get so trapped in this all or nothing mindset, and really like putting fuel on the fire. So maybe you've heard the analogy, like it's the equivalent of getting a flat tire and getting out of your car and slashing the other 3 tires in anger and frustration for seemingly failing, And in my case, it's like I would even set the car on fire just to further spite myself and punish myself for my failure. It's crazy to think, like, even just 3-4 years ago, this is where I was at in terms of how I felt about myself and my struggle with weight loss. The kicker is, that was never really motivation to begin with. That initial excitement, that dopamine surge, was simply, to allow us to get over our natural fear of change and allow us to get on the path to a better future. But it was never intended to fuel our entire transformation. Now, this is where things actually get really awesome and hopeful, because if you know that it's possible to not only transform your health, but to get permanent results and not have to rely on willpower and motivation and discipline, that's pretty incredible. Not only that, if you know that this is what your brain is going to naturally do when you start something like this, you can plan for it. Think about this. The harder that you go in the beginning, the faster you're going to burn out and get that flat tire. So if you know that initial motivation surge is limited, you could ask, how can you not only extend that so you don't burn out so quickly, but also set yourself up for success way beyond the initial start? And it's so simple and counterintuitive, because the real key is to break things down into tiny daily habits and steps, because ultimately our brain is this powerful efficiency machine, this supercomputer. And the way that our brain creates maximum efficiency is through the habit mechanism. So the more frequently a behavior is repeated, the more automatic it becomes, and the less it requires conscious thought to make it happen. So if we know that this is how our brain works, we can use this to our advantage. And if you listen to a previous episode, you'll have heard me talk about CMGs, or can't miss goals. We can basically reverse engineer our transformation. So here's how. I want you to think ahead to, if you have a goal weight in mind, or even just a kind of a lifestyle goal. How will future you be living? So maybe even you could just take a moment. I want you to, just close your eyes. You could watch me wave my arms and excitedly talk about this, or you could just close your eyes and just start to picture how you're going to look, how you're going to feel. Like, what are you wearing? What's your energy like? Your relationship with others, your significant other, your kids. Imagine yourself just going through day-to-day life where you're at your goal weight. It feels like you're effortlessly maintaining it. You're wearing clothes that make you feel confident. You have energy. You smile vibrantly. Picture that. Now, just to interrupt you and bring you back from that nice little temporary daydream and back to reality, the thing is, to get there, you won't be living the lifestyle you currently are, because you can't live the same lifestyle you've always lived and expect a different result to appear. So if your plan to transform your health has an end to it, and you plan to go back to your old lifestyle, you will go back to your old results. It's like if your diet has an expiry date, so do your results. Now, on the other hand, you can likely make an educated guess as to how this amazing future you is going to live in their day-to-day life. What we were picturing there, right? For example, they probably eat vegetables and protein at most meals. They drink plenty of water every day. Where possible, they get fantastic sleeps most night. They do something active, 4 or 5 times a week. Look, maybe they even go crazy and take up meditation. Well, if we know that this is how healthy future us is going to live, we can actually start building a roadmap. And that's where this gets kind of exciting. We can plan out the habits that we need to cultivate. But here's the secret. If the habit that you want to start, if you've not been doing it consistently on a daily basis, you need to start really small. And this brings us back to this concept of CMG, or can't miss goals. You start with one facet of your nutrition or activity. For example, let's say make time for activity every day. Now, if you were to set your daily target to be, I'm going to run for 60 minutes every day, you're almost guaranteed to fail, especially if you're not a runner. But if you set your daily activity target to walk for 5 minutes a day, you almost can't fail unless like one or both of your legs stop working. It's quite literally a can't miss goal. You see, the ultimate predictor of our success is our daily habits. It's not our grand vision and goal that gives us a dopamine surge. That doesn't predict our success. What does? So we fall to the level of our day-to-day habits. So what predicts the success then of the habit that we're trying to form? The repeatability of that habit. Because the more times we repeat a habit, the stronger it gets wired into our brain. And the more frequently we repeat a habit, the stronger it gets wired into our brain. And the beautiful thing about this is, you do not have to rely on willpower or discipline or motivation, because it gets easier as time goes on. So imagine how many people are out there trying to do like these extreme 21 day, 6 week, 30-day challenges, cleanses, detox, fad diets, whatever. Knowing at the end of that challenge or fad diet or cleanse or detox, they're just going to go right back to their old habits at the end of it. Well, at that point, you might as well not start at all, because it's a giant waste of time. Not only is it incredibly frustrating to work hard for those results, to deprive and to suffer and to be miserable and to turn things down, and only to lose those results at the end of it. And on top of that, it's actually potentially quite damaging to our metabolism to get caught in the yo-yo diet cycle like this. But if you're listening to this podcast, you're smarter. You're learning about how the brain actually works and how to make your brain work for you instead of against you. So when you go to set these goals, you want to think about being able to hit these targets even on your worst day. Make them so small, so simple, that you simply can't miss. And this is the key to eliminating the need for willpower, to discipline and motivation. And in turn, this is the secret to setting yourself up for permanent results, where you lose the weight and you keep it off forever. So for example, I set my daily step goal to 5,000 steps. And you go, hey, why not 10,000? Because I don't hit 10,000 steps every day, but I hit 5,000 steps every single day. I know exactly what I need to do to hit it, and sometimes I'll hit it before noon. And it feels amazing to be on this winning streak, right? So in sharing all of this, I want to mention one more thing here, because you might be thinking, well, yeah, this all sounds great and stuff, but for me, like, where the heck do I start? And I want you to imagine you had a step-by-step plan laid out for you from start to finish, where you never had to guess what it is that you need to do. And even better, imagine that you had an experienced guide to take you down this path every step of the way. Anytime you get stuck, you don't know what to do, you have someone there to help you, to give you a hand up. You're never going to be tripped up again, fall into like this downward emotional spiral. This is the power of human coaching. And this is exactly what we do in Lifestyle 180. So if you want to get on the path to permanent results, leave the yo-yo diet cycle behind. You never need to diet again, and you want to know more about Lifestyle 180, simply drop a hey, yes please in the comments below, and I'll reach out to you. I'll get in touch to connect with you on a free 30-minute discovery call. And people hear that and they go, oh, is this like a 30-minute sales pitch? I'm like, no, you know what we're going to do on this call? We're just going to talk like two human beings. We're going to talk, and even if you decide not to work with me, totally fine. I guarantee that at the end of the call, you will know exactly what it is that you need to do to move forward and to get the results that you've been looking for. So that's it for me today. If this was helpful, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. What would you like to hear about? What would you like to learn about? Let me know. And stay tuned for next week's episode. Take care.